back, but it's late, and he's very old, so he sleeps a lot, so he can't be too loud, because he deserves his sleep.
So today we are going to be moving on to a more modern Christmas movie, and we decided to go with Arthur Christmas.
I suggested it half because I very, very much like it, and half because I watched it the other night and we were deciding what to do, so I suggested it. But we are going to talk about Steve. Not the protagonist this time, but I like Steve.
Steve is a good character.
She likes his facial hair.
Well, come on, he has a goatee shaped like a Christmas tree.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I just thought it was funny. So, Steve's deal is his dad is Santa, well, and he's Arthur's older brother, and his father is supposed to retire after this last Christmas, and then he takes over for some decades, and then his eventual son will take over, and that's how it goes. But this year, Santa, who doesn't really do much during the holidays anymore, he puts a present down like in every town, but it's just the one. While Steve heads the command center, and Santa declares after they finished for the night that he's not retiring, even though he's supposed to. That upsets Steve. Arthur tries to defuse the situation and has the family play a board game. Doesn't work. Steve storms off. Arthur tries to cheer him up, but Steve is dismissive of it. And then it's discovered that a child was not left her present. So Arthur is the only one who is truly bothered by this. Steve is like, I made one mistake, and that's what everyone's focusing on. Not everything else I did right, the one thing I did wrong. And Santa, he does berate Steve a bit, but he's not truly upset about it either. So Santa, with the help of Grand Santa, their grandfather, goes off to deliver the present, although Grand Santa's more doing it to show he can still do it than care for this one little girl.
And a lot of stuff goes wrong for them.
But that's not involving Steve, so we're not going to talk about it. Maybe if we talk about another character in the future who is present for those adventures. But Steve finds out that Arthur and Grand Santa went off to have this little adventure, and he tries to track them down with the help of some of the elves, and then their father gets informed of everything that's happening, so he and their mother are getting like this high-tech sleigh that they now use, and they're gonna go after Arthur and Grand Santa, but Steve goes with them, and he goes to the wrong house to deliver the present, and they notice that it's the wrong house, and it's this big deal, and then they finally meet up with Arthur, and they fight about who's going to put the present down, and the current Santa, whose name is Malcolm, he lets Arthur do it. Because Arthur's the one who's done all of this. And then they hide in like this closet where they're going to exit through the window. But Arthur wants to stay and watch, and Santa's like, I've never actually done that, so he stays to watch, and Steve joins them, and it's just a nice little family moment, and like, Santa's like, I'm not so good with words, and he pats his two sons on the back, and he's like, but in my day, a pat on the back went a long way, and it's this nice little moment, and so he tells Steve that, because Gwen's like, look what Santa brought me, and Gwen's the little girl who did not get her present, and Santa looks at Steve and he's like, you deserve to be Santa, but maybe Gwen's right. So, the end, Arthur gets to be Santa, and Steve, like I said earlier, his place truly is in the control room monitoring everything, so that's where he stays. He gets this cool high-tech chair to sit in, and he's happy with how his life is now. So, through the movie though, and as we'll discuss as we go through the several different sections that we've made, he goes through quite a bit of character development without truly changing. which I think is an interesting way to go about it, because a lot of the times when you have this domineering, disapproving person, they become more of a happy-go-lucky person at the end. But Steve, he doesn't truly change, but at the same time, he changes a lot, if that makes sense.
It does.
So his character development is, we understand where he's coming from. So he's not just this big domineering person. He's this person who's been feeling overlooked and all of his accomplishments being diminished and not outright ignored. And it is his birthright to take over for his admittedly lazy father. And to have that denied to him just because his father doesn't want to yet, that does suck. And while it is a very bad mindset that one kid I could ignore and this is fine, you know, from a more big picture standpoint, yes, I get it. But he does go through a bit where he does become nicer, and like with Arthur, for example, he was dismissive of Arthur earlier in the film, but he was never outright mean.
He really wasn't.
Like, he did tell him to stay out of the control room, but that's because Arthur admittedly does concoct some chaos inadvertently.
Because Arthur's clumsy.
Yeah, but he's never, get out of here, I don't want to see you, you mess things up. He's just like, you can't be here. And, you know, the whole thing, he's never outright rude to his little brother, which is, he's a bit dismissive and standoffish, but it's nothing too terrible.
It really isn't.
And like I said, we find out where he's coming from, and he does ease up, and he does get that acknowledgement that he does deserve, because the control room is a huge place, and it does require a lot of work to maintain everything that happens in there. So,
There's a lot of elves in there.
yeah. And elves are kind of panicky. But so that's it basically, and how he evolves as a person.
Mhm.
So he becomes nicer without really changing who he is. Okay, so first things first, do we like him as a character?
So much in the beginning, if I'm gonna be honest.
Well, yeah, because you think he's a jerk.
Yeah, because he just comes off as a jerk, but Dragon is right. I can understand being upset because he's heir apparent to his father, and his father is supposed to retire after 70 Christmases, I think they said, and then his father's like, you know what, I kind of don't want to finish yet.
Yeah. So, like, you start out not liking him because he is being a jerk, but as the film goes on, and, like, you see hints early on, but they're easy to dismiss. But you see throughout the whole thing how he does feel ignored and taken for granted.
I think that's also because of his overall personality and how he runs things, too. Because you look at him, he's very organized and...
He's more technology and convenience over tradition. And that is typically the mindset and ideals given to the villains of these Christmas films. But so you think he's going to be the villain.
And he's very military-esque compared to his brother and Grand Santa and even his parents, where they're all
like his Santa outfit
jolly.
Involves a suit and a tie.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not the villain, but he's set up to be a lot like typical Christmas film villains. But they subvert that because he's not a bad person. That's just who he is. So, is that it for this section?
I think so.
Well, he works as a character because half of, I think, because he subverts what you expect. he fulfills this role that usually goes to the villain without being a villain. Up we get, does he work as a character in his setting?
I kind of want to say no in the beginning, but that's just from looking at him. But
Well, how does he not work in his setting? I
Well-
think he does, because he's set up to be like those traditional villains. And they fit in their settings.
that's a good point. Ignore
Well,
that.
in a way he doesn't work because he's a good guy half filling the role of a bad guy. But they do make it work in story format, because I never think to myself while watching, what's going on here, this makes no sense.
Right.
But that's just me. But I think he does work because he shows a more modern interpretation of Christmas, I guess, and where consumerism is important, getting your gifts is important, where the whole family being together aspect is downplayed.
And unfortunately, a lot of modern day ideas of Christmas do involve that.
So yeah, so I do think he fits in his setting. He represents how some think of Christmas now. And I've made Indy sad.
It's okay, Indy.
That's not how we celebrate Christmas. Although clearly presents are important. But they're not the most important thing. So our final section, do we like him as a character?
I hated him in the beginning, but again, with how the movie is,
He grows on you.
he grows on me.
Once you get where he's coming from and he softens his approach, yeah, I like him. And he's fun. I've never, even when I didn't like him, like as a person, I still enjoyed when he was on the screen. His character design is nice, and as Barry pointed out earlier, his little goatee is shaped like a Christmas tree.
That's so creative.
It really is. So, and like, also like Ray said earlier, he's more military-ish. He wears like his outfit's like camouflage.
Yeah,
like
red
with
and
Christmas,
green
but with like
camo.
Christmas colors. And he's got like the military haircut. So I like his design. I think it's inventive. It's not like all. It is Christmassy, but it's not like
Traditional Christmas.
exactly. And I don't know. I like how he looks. I like how they develop him as a character, and how you go, like the typical audience watching goes from, why is this jerk even here, to he's not so much of a jerk after all.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I liked him.
And like I said, he grew on me. Hated him in the beginning, but then once you see where he's coming from, it's like,
You slowly start to like him, and then by the end, you know, when he does have that little discussion with his father about Arthur being Santa, you feel kind of bad for him, but you can see it on his face. He does agree. And like I said, he winds up happy in the end with his new fancy espresso making chair in the control room with all the elves manning things from there. And even the credits point out he is happy. And isn't that the important thing about the holidays, to be happy?
to be happy.
As cheesy as that sounds. So yeah, so I think that's it for this video.
Yep, and while this doesn't end our videos in December, this ends our talk about Christmas related topics, so we hope you guys really enjoyed that.
Yeah, our next video, it was supposed to be another Christmas related subject, but something happened a few days ago, or at least a few days before we filmed this. I have no idea when this is going to be posted. But something happened I won't get into because I want that to be a surprise. But I'm assuming the next video is going to be another rant. Because, well, our first video of this month was more of a rant of something I was very upset about. This
And
next one is something that happened that has majorly pissed her off.
I just won't tell you guys what it is. Save that for when the video comes out.
Half because it'll be a surprise, and half because I've listened to this rant multiple times already, and I'm getting kind of sick of it. So Fairy's taking pity on me. Because if she starts even a little bit, once the camera goes off, she'll rant at me. And again, I've kind of heard enough for now. When we film the next one, I'll probably be okay hearing it again. But I heard rants like yesterday and today already, and I have a limit. So yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna get it all out and spare Dragon the horrible torture of listening to me rant about something.
No, it's not so much that you're ranting at me about it, but it's the same rant over and over again. That does get annoying after a while.
You're right.